Hi, it's Jenny from America, from Nowheresville, America, in her hillbilly state. Sun is up, but and even better, I've slept in again today. The Empress is treating us very well, and today she didn't even start her Empress demands until 6 a.m. That's less like sleeping in till like 4 p.m. for her. She's on UK time, so something must be gelling wonderfully for her. And as you can tell, I've already had my shower. I've got makeup on. I look so much better than I usually did. I kind of wanted to kind of give you a little bit more background information. I have the privilege of being in contact with some wonderful human being that's doing some incredible, wonderful and forensic investigative work. And again, these people have their connections, shall we say, to important people that are. There's a way to get all this information to Mark McDonald's through various channels. They don't may not work for them. They're just doing it on their own. They're just like you, like me, foot soldiers and care. She is not medical, but she has an archaeology background, which makes her an incredible investigator. And I even asked her, I said, "Yeah, I understand why you want to do this because you live in the United Kingdom, but you're, this is almost like a full-time job for you." I said, "Okay, what's the other reason?" I have a reason because I'm a nurse and I care about my fellow nurses. I don't care where you are in the world. You are part of my sorority, fraternity, brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you call it. If you're a good nurse, we are joined at the hip. Well, in her case, and her answer was just so wonderful. She says, I've had the privilege of having a few wonderful nurses in my life, and it almost brings tears to my eyes. So, and again, thank you for all of your inputs. I'm taking them on to heart. Your support. Wow, I am just amazed that there's so many people that care about nurses. Sometimes we get lost in the thing, thinking, well, no one cares about us. Well, no, no. And whenever anyone says that, a fellow nurse, I'll say, okay, hold my beer. I can explain what people are doing in this. Anyhow, she's had some more insight. She's really good at understanding not only I guess as an archaeologist, you're part scientist too. Um, Understand the science all behind this, but again, the investigative work, but also the human behavior aspect of it too, and that just goes in hands. And I have to wonder, gosh, I would have been fun to be an archaeologist. I'm just assuming you combine, in a sense, psychology, humanity, the arts, and science all in one. So it just seems like a wonderful profession to be in, and it's one of those things that maybe it would have been good to be an archaeologist. So I'm just trying to get to another kind of insight as to well, why would I do apologize, lost my train of thought. It is my old age. So again, I'm trying to give you a picture as to, well, why is it was this information not known about baby A's mom who had APS and lupus? Well, now we're getting a little bit more insight, and these are theories. There is no proven fact, but again, Brewery's not going to talk to us, so we have to go on that assumption. And let's go on assumptions. Let's not pick out something that is totally like Dewey did and everyone else did. Assume that we're going to create this serial killer. No, we're going to go with whatever normal human behavior is that we know. Maybe bad normal human behavior, but this is what we have. So mom is admitted on around the 25th, 26th of May. Brewery is notified of the admission. The reason we know that by the obstetrician that he sends his trainees to go talk to the mom. I can't imagine that. And again, by all accounts, her obstetrician that she had would have notified Brewery of the history. There was no indication that she was a bad obstetrician in any way. And if anything, she made damn sure that this woman had the correct experts that she had in London, and to ensure that the birth would happen in London and she would be close to these experts, and that those babies would be close to a London hospital, which I would assume would be Great Ormond Street Hospital. So mom has these papers in hand, and it's just in case. Well, what if you don't, if you're not in, you don't go to that hospital you're supposed to. You have to end up somewhere else due to an emergency situation. She's got that. And everyone, trainees knows, even though you always ask the patient what their history is, you always verify it with some sort of a documentation, because you always assume that this patient just doesn't know as much, truly either understands or able to get into the weeds of their medical condition. So no matter what, you always prove it. That is a normal standard procedure. And again, I just cannot understand why these trainees didn't do it. I'm going from the assumption, Brewery didn't tell them the history, but again, you would expect, okay, that they would dig and figure this out. And the reason he sent them over to there was just to have a meet and greet with the mom, just to see, so they can see what she looks like and just to let her know, okay, we're on this. And really more importantly, to prepare her, what is she going to see in the neonatal intensive care unit? And again, we can get some eyes on them, see, what kind of support that these parents will need post delivery. And it's a wonderful thing that happens all the time, and it should happen all the time. Well, unless it's an emergency situation. So it's down, we're talking around June 7th, June 8th. I think they were born June 8th. So that's, May 25th, June 8th, that's quite a bit of history. One of these trainees that were sent that, again, they just assumed, okay, I guess it's your typical mom that has preemie twins, all right, run of the mill. No. So all of a sudden there's this emergency birth. It's 8 in the evening on a Sunday evening. Yes, it's the worst, besides maybe Christmas Day. You don't want to be in a hospital on a holiday or a weekend. They had the obstetrician that had to do this, and it was absolutely a called for emergency situation, an emergency, C-section, would be a locum doctor. We have, in my hospital when I worked, we had very good obstetrics and neonatology. We have locum doctors there as a just in case. Oh my God, what if it happened? You always want a physician there, because the regular obstetricians can't be there 24/7, and especially if it's an emergency situation, how quickly can they get in? And these consultants are allowed to have some time off too. So again, there's a rush thing. There's not enough neonatal team at the birth, but one of the trainees was there that had spoken to the mom. So we are assuming that the trainee said to that locum obstetrician and midwife, oh, we've seen the mom. So obviously they would assume, and they should assume, that they did the correct thing and know the history. Well, it looks like it didn't. So that's probably how it did it. Now, yes, maybe that locum obstetrician and midwife should have given the papers directly of the mom to them. But again, I'm going to kind of also say, well, these trainee doctors knew better too, and they knew that you always know that there is a good chance that there could be an immediate birth, an emergency situation, and you damn well just know that history. That is just part of your training. The reason I'm not surprised that the trainees didn't know is that, again, if you have consultants that don't give a damn, and basically, let's just face it, Ravi goofed off. Were they giving up the all? They were phoning it in. I've seen these doctors so many times, these types. Thank God, they really are. And I don't mean to downgrade the medical field at all. In fact, I've had some, I've been privileged to and been wonderful. I've just recently had a wonderful surgery that has just absolutely changed my life in the best way. So and I have a daughter that was premature and septic and could have easily died had she not had good medical care. So I've worked with some of them, these bad, horrible doctors, and nurses too, thank God, are in the majority, excuse me, oh my God, not majority, I mean to say minority. But it does happen. So if you have consultants that don't give a damn, well, I would imagine it was kind of as a trainee, they're not cracking the whip, they're not overseeing us, we can kind of The inmates are allowed to run the asylum, and that is the exact opposite of what you want. In my first 15 years as a nurse, I worked at a high-level university hospital that had incredible, wonderful consultants. Their standards they set for themselves were on the ceiling, and damn well they set high standards to these for these trainees as well. They demanded as much of them as they gave themselves. And again, and there are periods, and I can guarantee you there were periods in my life as a nurse that I wasn't up to snuff, that I am ashamed of, that I am not proud of. And thank God there were times where I had someone as wonderful as maybe a Michelle Warden, or as just as hardworking as a Lucy Letby there, and I just went, Jenny, come on, stop it. You gotta get out of this. You gotta do better, and we all do. I 40 years. There isn't a person in the medical field that hasn't had these periods where maybe you might have phoned it in, and weren't as good. But thank God you were able to snap out of it, get yourself out of it, because you were ashamed of yourself, of not giving it the all that patient deserved. And then there are times that, okay, what encourages you to some degree snap out of it, I guess I should say, is that there's someone there cracking the whip. And there are consequences if you do not live up to standards. Now, obviously, you're not expected, and nor should you be expected as a nurse or a physician to be perfect, to always be able to give it all. You do suffer from kind of a burnout, and they're thinking it's not so much of burnout now, is that you're just run out of empathic energy, and you can't give any more. There's a term for that if you can remember it, if you put it in the comics, I'll try to remember it. But there's a term where it's too much. You just run out of steam in that thing, and you've given so much in an empathic way that you can't give any more. And it's kind of, I almost want to say it's almost a survival instinct that we all in life do that too. And you've had it in parts in your life where I just don't give a damn. Or again, it's a survival thing. Sometimes it's the only way you can recharge your battery. But again, unfortunately, there are consequences when you don't give it your all. And I have made mistakes when I haven't given my all. And the best thing that's happened is that I was called out, and in the best of most professional manner, as every one of us, every person in the medical and nursing field does make mistakes, and they are called out. There is a correct way to call it out, and there's a wonderful way to learn from mistakes. And one of the things that I ended up kind of doing is, like, if I knew I made a mistake, I actually did self-Datix myself, or I would go to my manager and say, "Oh my God, I did this." And I had this wonderful manager one time. He was just phenomenal. He looked at me, he goes, "Well, did the patient die?" "No." "Well, who cares?" It's not so much he didn't say who cares. He just knew that I was that type that would go up and just say, "Okay, I made a mistake." And he was just so wonderful. And just, again, yeah, so what? Yeah, he looked at me and goes, "Don't do it again." So I appreciate that. I have found a wonderful, wonderful document that I'm going to share with you, and soon I'm going to do another video, and it just happens to be, I remember seeing this a few months ago, and I've just gotten back to it, but it is the document that was circled within all the politicians saw it, and it was leaked to us a while ago that the public was aware of it, so I will share that with you, and it's just another wealth of knowledge too. So anyhow, as always, I can never do this alone, and just as a nurse, I was never allowed to, always had to have someone watch me. So the Empress, nuisance, can you say hello? No? I guess they're not worthy. Okay, well, the Empress is here just to make sure I'm doing fine. So again, be wary, I'm sending out a new video very soon. Bye-bye.